Hello, everyone. It's great to be in Prague. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the internet, social media, which, for the most part, most people say social media is a terrible place. Let's look at the critiques. They say it's fake, it's addicting, it's bad for marriage, kids are on their phones too much. There's gurus who are always trying to sell you healthy teas or fit shakes. There's the whole fake news issue. Ever look at the comment section of a political post? And there's all these stories about influencers being the absolute worst. One of my favorites is when they were caught taking a photo shoot on a fake private jet. See, everyone's always telling me how bad social media is. They tell me it's ruining our society. Now, do I think that this is true? I think there's some elements to it where, yes, there are some negatives to our society because of social media, but over 80% of our population uses it. You're not getting rid of Instagram, you're not getting rid of Twitter, and I'm not getting rid of TikTok because I can't get enough of it. So is social media ruining our society? Now, I would say any major change or new technology causes people to overreact like this. It's not the first and it won't be the last. Let's look at some other instances in our history where people have kind of overreacted. There was underground travel, the subway was thought to upset evil spirits. Recording music, they said it would kill our musical ability. This one's my favorite. They said the problem with the television is people need to sit and keep their eyes glued on the screen. The average American family doesn't have time for that. So as in America, but I know it's world renowned, everyone has time for it. Any major shift or new technology just takes some getting used to. But we better get used to this one because each day our physical world merges more and more with our digital world. Things that we do in person, we will now do online. People are done going into the office, they're working from home. People are done going grocery shopping, they're getting it delivered. And people are even done going to the movie theater. They're streaming it from their TV. And those kids who are on their phones too much, well, they're now growing up and they're now having kids who are going to be on their phones too much. The past year and a half, the pandemic has only expedited our transition into the digital age. And what I would say is we got to see the good that social media could do throughout the pandemic. Now, there were things that inspired us, things that made us laugh. You got some good home workouts in, taught you how to make bread. Anybody here make bread? But beyond that, we were connected. We felt like a community in one of the loneliest times in our society. And that's why tonight, the argument I'd like to make for all of you, there's one thing I'd want to change your mind on. It's how you not only view, but how you use these social media platforms and to see the power and potential in brand building, in building a brand. Because it gives you the opportunity to own your own narrative, to become an active participant in change, or even just quit the job that you hate. Even if you're not trying to build a brand yourself, but to start supporting the talented and creative people that are. Because as a group, we have to do a better job of elevating the right platforms. And in order to do that, we need to shift what we're giving our attention to. See, these are peer-to-peer platforms. What we promote, the algorithms promote. Now what happens is we are more passionate about sharing things we dislike than sharing things that we do like. And what happens there is we are giving exposure to the wrong things. The reason this happens is we get so caught up in groupthink. We get so caught up in trends. We develop a habit of being strictly problem-focused, and we just complain. A lot of our social media behavior is self-destructive. It's quick, cheap, it's temporary. I call it digital junk food. What if, rather than using social media to be self-serving, we instead used it to drive community, to contribute, to add value? And now I get the critiques. I hear them. A lot of influencers are the worst. There's a lot of negative instances that have to go along with social media. But I would say it's just like anything else. Like people tell me, everyone's living a fake life on Instagram. And I would agree with this. A lot of people are. But I don't think social media invented this. Think of it. People that are pretending to have more money than they really have, or staying friends with people they're not really friends with, or pretending they're happier in their marriage than they really are, or going on one vacation a year, acting like they're on top of the world and they're better than everybody else, even though they're miserable 51 weeks out of the year. They advertise this on social media, but social media didn't invent this. People have always done things like this. It's only giving you access to more people to see that they do this. Now, I would say it's entirely on you what you see, though, for the most part. Social media is choose your own adventure. You choose who you follow. And if you don't like what you're seeing, you're probably just following the wrong people. We have to learn to mute and unfollow and even block. The block button has become my best friend, and I'm not afraid to tell people about it. Share something controversial, I'll block you. Share something insulting, I'll block you. Just recently, I blocked a few people because they made their entire profile and all their posts focused on one very extreme controversial issue without having any sort of research to back it. Just block them. The main issue, though, with social media is the norms are being created by the wrong people. We're losing the role model battle. The people who set the norms on these platforms are the ones who have the most followers. These are the people who are really good at seeking attention. They're controversial. These are the pranksters. These are nearly never the best role models. But the issue is all of the people that I respect, the smart, rational people, who I tell that they need to be building brands, they tell me social media is a terrible place. And I tell them that social media is a terrible place because all of the not-so-terrible people refuse to use it in a way that's most effective. And that's building a brand, building a community. And I promise, I'm not impressed when someone tells me or tries to brag on how they don't use social media. They tell me, I stay off those platforms. I'm not impressed by that. Because essentially what you're saying is, you as a leader, you as a role model, refuse to have a presence in the place where over 80% of our population consumes their information, where they're influenced. I may be biased, though, because building a brand changed my life. I was super broke, didn't have any major connections. I actually sold carpet. I was a carpet salesman working part-time. I'd actually go in people's houses. I would measure their house, and I would sell them carpet. It was the worst job in the world. I hated it. But what I was doing during that, I was building a brand. I was creating videos, which allowed me to launch a speaking career, which allowed me to grow my own platform. I started an agency. I became the first personal brand coach in US college sports. I'm 4,000 miles away speaking to all of you. One of my proudest accomplishments is starting one of the first ever social media marketing agencies run by youth. These are inner city youth. These are young people who may not have the same opportunities as others. They've been counted out. Their schools don't have any major connections to CEOs. They don't have any huge opportunities for any major internships. But they're so talented. Do you know what social media does? It allows them to be discovered. Right now, they're running the TikTok account for one of the most famous art museums in the world, the Andy Warhol Museum, which is in Pittsburgh. See, before social media, in order to make it big, you had to be a musician, you had to act, you had to be an athlete. There were so many talented people that remained undiscovered, but that's not the case anymore. There are more people than ever who are making a career out of following their passion because people, the general public, now have access to opportunity and connection. And that's why I believe that building a brand right now is the new way out. I'm going to show you some of my favorite examples of people who have used their brands to transform not only their lives, but the people around them and their fans. Mark Phillips, who also goes by Supreme Dreams, used to make skits about LeBron James. This was like 6-7 years ago. And him and his friends would just make skits about LeBron James and the NBA. Well, just recently, LeBron invited him to his red carpet premiere of Space Jam. And he has millions of followers, and he has deals from Netflix and a few others. Ty Verdes is a TikToker, and he would make videos just recently, like 6 months ago, of him singing in the cell phone store where he worked. And he would make videos singing in his car. Here's him at Lollapalooza with a sold-out crowd. Morgan Harper Nichols was a college admissions counselor, and she would post poems like this. Well, she had one go viral on Pinterest. Now she's a best-selling author and poet, and she has a music tour. One of my personal favorites is Shirley Raines, who uses her TikTok account to document her helping the homeless in Los Angeles. Through her efforts, by showing her journey on social media, she's fully funded her continued support of homeless people in LA. Now, there's also the element of how this has changed sports as well. And I'll talk about my personal experience in the US. See, forever, for all of time, college athletes were not able to make money because they were on a scholarship. So Division I, the highest level of college athletics, they weren't able to make money because they had a scholarship. They couldn't get a job, they couldn't start their own business, they just had to use the stipend and what they were getting because of their scholarship. Now, as I mentioned before, I was named the first personal brand coach in the NCAA, which is the governing body for college sports in the US. Because I'm a huge advocate of this. Because what would happen is you would have athletes who came from lower income backgrounds, and they would graduate high school and they'd go to college and they'd be unable to support their family. Well, due to pressure from social media, all that has changed. They can now make money off their name, image, likeness, but they're not just using it to get endorsements, they're using it to unlock generational wealth. See, before social media, athletes were just viewed as objects of entertainment, physical specimens. But now, they're influencing elections. They're creating mass social impact. They're creating social change. The athletes I work with, I'm teaching them how to use the attention that's on them now to create opportunity even after they're done playing. And now everyone has been so nervous about what's going to happen now that these college athletes can make money. They're going to be selfish, people said. Well, they're actually using these newfound opportunities to support their families, support their communities, support their teammates. See, everyone's been nervous about what was going to happen as social media grew. They said it was going to ruin our society, and I'd say there's certainly negative elements you could look at that certainly don't have a good impact on our society, but you're seeing a lot of people who are using it for good. You're even seeing a shift in revenue models. It used to be you needed millions of followers to be able to make money off of social media, but now you're seeing more people start brands with micro audiences. They're focused more on having 1,000 or 100 true fans than millions of people who really don't care about them. They're focused on the qualitative nature of these social platforms, like getting well thought out comments and meaningful messages, rather than getting thousands of meaningless likes or hundreds of people just leaving the fire emoji underneath their pictures. See, there's even a new revenue model that is being shaped here. They're calling this the creator economy, which is essentially the idea that side hustles and creators are taking up market share over billion-dollar corporations and institutions. Creators are disrupting our society. See, for so long, opportunity was dependent on who you know or how much money you have. But because of social media, that's not the case anymore. Youth are setting communication trends. You must talk with people, not at them. Companies who are only looking to try to profit off of their customers, well, they're going bankrupt. Politicians who are up to no good, for the most part, are getting unseated. And finally, people are done working jobs they hate for bosses who don't treat them right. They're staying home, they're starting their own online businesses, and they're thriving. And you may say, Jordan, I think it's so dumb that people are making money playing video games or reviewing toys or food or whispering into a mic or making 10-second TikTok dances. And I would say, okay, I hear you, but I think it's dumb that for years the only way you could start a business or have money was having parents who had started a business or had money. And I think it's better now that opportunity isn't dependent on who you know, and it's dependent on what you can do. See, all these people I've realized who bash social media, who say it's so bad when people are building their brands or trying to show some things off, what I've realized is these people are just most uncomfortable with how our society has shifted because we're giving power and opportunity where it belongs, and that's to the people. These are the same people who say things like, well, this is the way things have always been. We're not letting people say that anymore. Things are changing for the better. So when someone tells me that social media is ruining our society, I tell them that they're probably just using it wrong, or they're upset that they're not benefiting from it. For some people, this is their opportunity to be discovered, to be heard, to be seen. This is their big audition. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there. You should share your story. It's important to share your story. Who knows? You could end up halfway around the world trying to inspire others to do the same. Building a brand can change your life. It did for me.